What's good, YouTube? So I'm back with another iteration of my Skystriker deck profile, with the last one being focused on going first. Now I'm going back to the true classic going second board breaker approach with the new support, obviously. Just feels right, honestly. It feels right going second with Skystriker and breaking boards. Yeah, you do have to sit through the 15 minutes of combos that your opponent most likely is going to go through. Spoiler alert, the only hand trap we are running right now is Molcharmi Fualos. Aside from that, it is strictly board breakers. So it's different. It's a different way of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Letting your opponent play, actually. It's something that most decks don't really do. You obviously don't really want your opponent to play the game. That's pretty much what Yu-Gi-Oh! Has come to now in 2025. It's interesting playing Skystriker and watching your opponent build this crazy board and then you slowly tearing it apart piece by piece, hopefully. If not, more than likely you just wasted 15 minutes of your life watching them build a board, then obviously you can't do nothing about it. But with that in mind, let's just go straight into the deck profile. So we have the standard 3 Ray, 1 Rose, 1 reinforcement of the army. Obviously, this doesn't really change. The only other change that could be is adding a second Rose, now with our new Skystriker Link 2. But for now, I think we're gonna keep it pretty standard with this ratio, 3-1-1. Then speaking of standard, we have 3 Engage, 3 Linkage, 3 Widow Anchor, 2 Limnus Gate. I've noticed some people are cutting this down to 1. I'm not really too sure how I feel about that. I can see that being not too bad, but at the same time, for my personal playstyle, I definitely like having 2 Limnus Gate, 1 Hornet Drones, 1 Afterburners. And that's pretty much it for the Skystriker spell cards. Very standard, I feel like. Skystriker is not really a deck that has really much room for innovation, even with the new support. But for now, I think this is the perfect standard lineup. I did remove this in my going first version. However, going second is one of the best cards. I'm just being able to pop a monster and then also having the option to pop a back row is just too powerful. Hornet Drones hopefully will be coming off the ban list soon and we can get a few more 1-card starters in our deck. Then we have Called by, Triple Attack. Called by honestly could be removed. This is probably one of the only cards I am debating actually removing from the deck. But I just feel like the deck still loses really hard to draw. So having Called by in here as an option doesn't really hurt. 3 Super Poly, 3 Forbidden Droplet, 3 Book of Eclipse, 1 Raigeki, and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. Rounding out all of the board breaker cards we have so many options to break boards. Book of Eclipse, Forbidden Droplet, Super Poly alone can pretty much dismantle any board. And then we have cards like Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster. I just feel they're a lot more powerful than cards like Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm obviously has the more flexibility of being able to hit back row or attack monsters. However, it also can be a dead card if you have other stuff on the field. So I went simply with Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster just for simpler and more linear options to have to dismantle our opponent's board. Then to round out the deck, we have our hand traps, 3 Fualos and 3 Droll and Lockbird. I just feel like these cards can pretty much stop opponents' boards. Both of these cards can pretty much stop a lot of rogue decks or decks that just special summon a lot. Obviously, Fualos is an OP, obviously a more fair version of Maxi, but still at the same time, getting those draws is sometimes a turn skip alone, and obviously draw. There is a reason a lot of people are asking for it to be banned or at least limited. It's definitely a turn skip for a lot of rogue decks as well. But these are the only hand traps we are running. Aside from these 2 cards, if you don't draw either of these, you're just pretty much letting your opponent build a board and then hopefully being able to dismantle it piece by piece. Then for the extra deck, pretty standard. Not really too much has changed from my other iterations of this deck. Still running 2 Zeke. I don't have the other Link 2, so I'm sticking with 2 for now. I honestly think Zeke is a better card anyways. Then we have Hayate, Access Code, great for going second. SP Little Knight, amazing for going second. The 2 Super Poly targets. Typhon, again, amazing for going second. Then one of the other new additions, we have number 41, Baguska. Honestly, I feel like even as a going first option, he's amazing. Even as a going second option, if your opponent hand traps you, being able to go into Baguska and then all their cards are pretty much negated and then go into defense mode. And then hopefully you're able to kind of draw into some of your cards like Raigeki, Harpy's Feather Duster, any of your board breakers. Being able to give you time, it's just something that the deck used to thrive on when we had Mystic Mine. I feel like number 41 Baguska is being slept on pretty hard, especially with the deck having so many 1-card starters that gets us 2 level 4 monsters on board. We were able to go into him really fast, pretty easy as well. Even when we're hand trapped or disrupted, we're pretty much guaranteed to end on 2 level 4 bodies. There's so many lines that we can get into him. You can even put him in the extra monster zone and then still be able to use a lot of your Skystriker spells. There's just so many options with him, honestly. I feel like if you haven't tested him, give him a shot. I feel like he's definitely going to be underutilized. And I feel like once Skystriker does get our future support and it does become a tier 2 / maybe tier 1 deck with the additional support hopefully coming soon, I think I can see number 41 Baguska honestly getting banned just because there's so many ways to abuse him. Like the deck previously utilized Mystic Mine. Obviously not as good, not as broken, but there is ways to kind of go similar routes if you want to go the stun route. So yeah, I'm keeping him in. As a stun player, stun enjoyer, I feel like it's too fun to play Skystriker and utilize stun cards as well. I was a big fan of Mystic Mine. I know it is one of the most toxic cards ever created, but it is a pseudo Diet Coke version of Mystic Mine that the deck can utilize. So that's pretty much it. Wrapping up the deck profile, very short deck profile. Again, very standard, I feel like. Just adding a few more board breakers. If you guys want to see a side deck, I can possibly include that in the description if that's something you guys are interested in. For the side deck, honestly, I would probably just put a bunch of going first cards. I feel like Heat Wave is definitely a big one, especially for this specific list. Having cards like Heat Wave, even Solemn Strike for going first. Maybe even Ultimate Slayer as another board breaking option is something that I would consider. But cards like Solemn Strike, Heat Wave, there's so many going first options that the deck can utilize. That's pretty much what I would include. The only other card that I was thinking of keeping in that I originally had, I had Droll not in here, and then I did have Ultimate Slayer. So I think that's the only difference. I originally was testing this deck out with Ultimate Slayer and just having one more extra deck space utilized for, I think it was the XYZ that Raigeki uses. But that's the only change I did make. I'm going blank with the XYZ's name, but it is the one that Yugioh uses, and it pretty much negates any card on the field. But that's pretty much the only difference I've made, and I've added Droll back to the list. But honestly, I wouldn't say it's much better with Droll as opposed to Ultimate Slayer. If you want to keep the deck as budget as possible, I would definitely recommend substituting the Fuwalos with Ultimate Slayer. I know I usually get a lot of comments saying, what would you do if you didn't have Fuwalos? That's what I would do. Ultimate Slayer, 3 of, definitely. And then also cards like Heat Wave, 3 of in your side deck for when you do want to surprise your opponent and go first. It's definitely cool to catch them off surprise. Like if you lose game 1 and then going into game 2, your opponent's gonna think, okay, they're playing Skystriker, they're gonna want to obviously go second, and then you can surprise them, slide 3 Heat Waves in there, or a bunch of going first cards like Heat Wave and Solemn Strike, and then choose to go first, and then Skystriker can go first really good now. So cards like this can make your end board even more powerful than the original like 2 to 4 disruptions the deck can make. But that is something I would do if I was making a side deck for this deck. But I think that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys want to see more Skystriker content, or maybe even test hands for this deck, I'm working on live content, live duels, if that's something you guys are interested in seeing. I feel like most of the live duels I've done so far, in practice, I have been using Skystriker. A lot of the times it's the going second option as well, so it'll probably be this deck. I think the video I did have, I had Ultimate Slayer in my actual deck profile as well. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys want to see more Skystriker content, leave a comment. Please subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.